Thanks, Steve. The question isn't how many of you know where Damascus is. The question is how many of you got a ticket in Damascus? Yes, okay. That might generate more hands, but even as a youngster, if I run for Supreme Court, this will probably come out, but even as a youngster, I got a ticket there once, and I did pay my fine, and so I'm clean of the record on that side of it, all right? Thanks for the opportunity to share with you some things tonight. Steve called and asked if I just kind of give you an overview maybe of some of the things that are coming up in the next general session, which we will be sworn in on January 14th, so a week from Monday. We'll go from Senator-elect for Senator-elect Mark Johnson, okay, and myself will go from that title to Senator. So very honored and appreciate very much what each of you did to help get us there. And we'll try to represent you well, and I'm sure if we don't, you'll let us know. That's okay. That's what we want to do. We want that feedback. We want that dialogue. We want that open line of communication. So by all means, you feel free to contact us. I'm going to give you my personal cell phone here in a minute. You want to get your pen and paper handy if you don't have it already. I'll be glad to give you my personal cell phone number. You can call me or text me, and be glad to take your input. A couple things I just wanted to note before I talk about a few things about what's coming up in the general session. I had the privilege yesterday. Yesterday, I had the privilege yesterday morning of having breakfast with one of the young Republicans. You may remember Jackie Sherrill. Jackie went off to the Naval Academy, and so he's in town, went back today, and so we had the chance to catch breakfast yesterday morning. So he sends you thoughts, sends you prayers, and I asked him if he was being infiltrated yet as far as the liberal thought process is out in the world now that he's out there. And I'm pleased to report that he said the vast majority of those that he's serving with up there are solid conservatives, which makes me feel better about our military, okay? And Jackie wanted me to send you regards, and wish he could have been here tonight, but he had to go back for his duty. And the other thing is, did want to recognize, I don't know if he's been recognized yet or not, Mark Johnson, and I think we're privileged to have Mark in the House. I think his accomplishment was probably greater than mine because he bypassed the House and went straight to Senate, and first time in. So he was on the radio today with Dave Ellswick, did an excellent job, and so I think we're blessed to have him representing us.
He won't have to be defumigated since he didn't go to the House.
Well, we'll talk afterwards, but anyway, you guys that go straight to the Senate, we got to get you down here a little bit. So, one quick little bit of information. Yes, I was in Damascus when the silo blew up, and yes, a missile blowing up will wake you up in the morning. Okay, that and the police knocking on your door saying you got to evacuate the area. We were in the evacuation zone, the radius and everything. And I want to tell you something, that was an experience because at the time I had a little construction company. I actually went on the site and did some work on the fences in the area, some of the repair, and I want to tell you it was unbelievable, the door on the silo and the thickness of the concrete, the thickness of the metal, and it just blew it up and over a grove of 60-foot tall trees and just landed it out in the field. And I remember there was an individual that was killed in it. One of the guys in the church that I attended was on the maintenance crew there. I'm sorry for the one that passed away, but he wasn't there. But that was really, back in those days, a significant impact. All right, so going on to the session and some of the things that we can see and expect coming up, I think we're probably going to see this time around, a lot of the heavy issues will be put on the table first because from past experiences, you learn that if you wait till the middle of the session to the end, it creates a lot of unnecessary pressure. I have mixed emotions, to be honest with you, about task force, but I see the good in them. I also see the bad in them, but we've had several task force this past time around that have put some issues on the table that have been well vetted. The task force was one of those. I attended probably about 60% of those meetings, trying to get up to speed on it. I will tell you one of the things that was educational about that process is there weren't very many stones that were left unturned as far as looking at all the tax breaks, the tax benefits, some of the hidden taxes, the whole thing. So it was pretty well a vetted process. Is everybody going to like what comes out of it? Probably not, but it is a step in the right direction. But I want to pause and say this. I'm speaking for myself. I don't like shell games. We did that, been there, done that one time. I think if we are going to give tax cuts, we got to give tax cuts and not just shift the money across the table in a lateral move. Let's make it a real tax cut. And there was an article that came out Monday. I haven't digested it all, but there was a good article, I think, that came out over the weekend showing that, here's the tax break as it is, but if you're increasing it over here. To that point, though, I think one thing we got to have an honest discussion about is, for example, when it comes to the 911 system, Saline County is well versed in the 911 system. One of the things that is going to be on the table for discussion is about a small percentage of fee on the phone bill for the purpose of getting a statewide unified 911 system. I think there are some things that are coming up that have merit, that deserve some real good, honest discussions if they're going to address the problems and if they're going to correct it once and for all. One thing I think we have to remember, and this is a message I think we need to do a strong party as a Republican Party getting out, and that is, yes, we are in control. Yes, we have been in control for a short period of time, but how long does it take to straighten out 100 years worth of mess? And that's, that's the one thing we don't need to just rush by and remember. There are some things that we're having to clean up that we inherited that we've got to go through the painful discussions on. 911 is going to be one of them. We know the highway package is a big one that's going to be up for discussion about referring it to the people for a vote. And that'll be a pretty hefty discussion within itself. So there are some things that are coming up. Then, of course, the package to drop the income tax rate from the 6.9 down as low as we can get it. There's even ongoing discussions whether we should get it more, we should get it less. I'm going to give you my personal opinion. We just went through the process of taking back, if you would, balancing the playing field, if you would, with regard in the healthcare industry, with regards to reimbursement to assisted livings with Medicaid funds, nursing home, and also providers. Okay, we just went through that discussion. We ran all that through rules and regs and everything. The one thing that I think we need to take a good solid look at is if we're going to be taking back from the providers, if we're going to be taking back from individuals and from groups, the one thing I think we got to look at is what are the agencies and what is state government going to give up as far as a little blood in the game themselves to go toward the reduction of the tax rate. If we're constantly going to the private sector and playing with their world, I think we got to come back and look at the agencies and how can we go about clawing back a percentage of what they have. I understand that with regards to seeing the freeze on hiring of employees, that's one thing. But if you're supplementing in a different area, some of that shifting, if you would, some of that shell game, if you would, I think that's the discussion we got to have this session to be real honest, transparent. Because here's what I'm concerned about. I think this